It's that time of year again. It's the season of stretchy pants and second helpings. But isn't it so often the case that what we start out with excitement about ends up with regret? But what if I told you that you can truly enjoy the feast and feel amazing afterwards? Holidays are meant to be enjoyed, not feared. God designed feasting and He designed nourishment. So let's talk today about how you can have a wonderful, filling Thanksgiving without having the regret afterwards. Let's go. Welcome to If Mama Ain't Healthy, Ain't Nobody Healthy. I'm your host, Lori Morris, a Christian midwife, mama of three, and wellness coach who believes your body isn't broken, it's beautifully designed by God. Here we talk about how to restore your energy, balance your hormones, and find peace and true wellness in your body again, no matter what stage of motherhood you're in. Whether you're pregnant, postpartum, in the messy middle of mom life, or you're trying to conceive. And we do it all through biblical truth and practical, holistic living. Because you're not meant to just survive motherhood, you're meant to thrive in it. Let's dive in. I remember several Thanksgivings ago when I was pregnant thinking about maternity pants. And I remember thinking, I'm going to keep these forever and I'm going to wear them every year on Thanksgiving. And how come everybody doesn't have a pair of maternity pants in their closet just for Thanksgiving Day so that they can stuff themselves and still fit into their breeches? Yeah, I'm from Tennessee. We say breeches. Okay. So that was kind of my mentality going back. Like Thanksgiving is just a time to pour it all in, pile it all in, and enjoy it. Fast forward to Thanksgiving before last. So the last Thanksgiving before I found out that I was pre-diabetic. Insulin resistant is another word for that. I remember then I would always I host Thanksgiving. I think I've mentioned that. And I remember for our meal, we would get those big, long Chinette plates. They're paper, but they're kind of thick, almost like cardboard or thicker than cardboard, really. And they're not round. They're like big oval plates. They're huge. And those were the ones I wanted because I wanted to have lots of space to pile on as much of this delicious food as I could. And then I would pile it high and just keep on piling to where I couldn't really tell what was underneath because of the stuff on top. And then at the end of that meal, I remember sitting there at my table, just about unable to keep my eyes open. I might have even fallen asleep at the table. And I remember thinking that's what we always called the itis, like that overwhelming fatigue that hits after you've had a big, good meal. And I didn't think anything bad about it. I thought it was just a normal good thing. But as I think about what was really going on that year and in the years prior to that, it was probably that my blood sugar was through the roof and I just had no idea because what you don't know obviously can hurt you. And it was hurting me. You've probably had that. Think back. Have you had that moment or those moments where you've had such a wonderful, delicious meal, and then you just are so tired that you can't stay awake. You're just about miserable. You might unbutton your pants, and you end up feeling regret. So, fast forward to last year, I've made changes in my lifestyle by this point, right? And this year, even more so. I've made changes in my lifestyle that like many of you either have or maybe you want to. And last year and now this year, I still really wanted to enjoy Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. It's the holiday where we get all of the family and all of the food without the materialistic expectations of presents and things like that, which is what, Christmas has become in this country by and large. So I wanted to still have that experience and to really be able to enjoy it without having the misery after or the regret. So I've been through one Thanksgiving now like that. It was last year, and it was quite enjoyable. It was a day of reflection and thankfulness. And that's what I want your Thanksgiving to be, a day of reflection and thankfulness, to think about how God has immensely blessed us in America to be able to live and to worship in freedom. And it reminds us of the sacrifices that it has taken to have these freedoms so that we can continue to do what it takes to make sure that we don't take these freedoms for granted. And I was able to reflect on that more and less and I didn't have any of the misery, and I didn't have any of that just draggy, awful, heavy feeling. And I want to help you have that experience this year. With that in mind, I want to help give you some tools to have in your back pocket for you to carry with you into Thanksgiving Day, so that it's a day of joy and thankfulness and feasting still, without regrets that will be waiting for you the next day or maybe even that night. I'm going to give you 4 things to think about, and the lesson, as they say at church, the lesson will be yours. First, I want you to think about that God designed food to be good, right? In 1 Timothy 4, we read that everything God created is good and nothing is to be rejected if it's received with thankfulness. The focus there being the things that God has created, the foods that He has created for us to eat, not junk, not the things that have been created in factories that aren't really food, but the foods that He created, He wants us to enjoy. Those are the things He gave us to nourish our bodies so that our cells can have what they need to properly function. So I don't want you to go into Thanksgiving being afraid of the day or being afraid of food. I don't want you to enter this time with pre-existing guilt, like you're already feeling bad about what you haven't even done yet. Okay? I want you to enter it with joy and thankfulness, in a sense, and this is the big one, a sense of self-control, a sense that I can enjoy this without overdoing or without making the choices that are going to make me feel so bad later. If you've had a history of a bit of an unhealthy relationship with food, this can be very hard, and I'm very well aware of that. But it can also be the beginning of a healed relationship with food, even the most delicious food that you wait all year for just this one time. God has richly blessed us with every food that is good for our bodies. And the cool thing about Thanksgiving is that many of those foods that you probably overlook through the year are actually a part of this meal for most of us. For instance, some of you never ever eat cranberries. You don't even think about cranberries through the year, right? But cranberries are very healthful. There's lots of benefits to them, and most of you are going to have it on your plate, or at least available on Thanksgiving, right? There may be beans or squash or broccoli, things that you might not normally like to fix, and they'll all show up. Granted, they tend to be in the form of casseroles, which might or might not be a good thing depending on how they were prepared. But let's celebrate that we're actually eating great foods, even if they are a little over casseroled. Yes, I just made casserole into a verb. But instead of walking in with guilt or dread, I want you to walk in with that gratitude and like that outlook of, I'm going to get some really healthful foods here. Now, there may be some things mixed in that maybe make it a little less healthful, but let's focus on the good and be mindful as we eat. And that brings me to number 2. We want to learn to balance our blood sugar. Okay? That is really where the bad feelings stem from. So I want to give you a couple of tips, or not a couple, a few tips to help you go into these meals ready to keep your sugar balanced. Thing 1 that you can do. Now let me kind of think back to your past Thanksgivings. Like, you're about to go eat this massive meal, right? And how many of us skip breakfast that day because we're saving room, right? We're wanting to give ourselves as much space for all of the things. But in doing so, we are setting ourselves up to overeat, and to likely overeat in the things that are not going to be beneficial for us. So what I want you to do on Thanksgiving morning is to eat a protein-rich breakfast. Don't save your calories for later. Load up on protein first thing in the morning, and mix some fiber in with that as well. Protein and fiber are going to give your body a good dose of nutrition that is not going to spike your blood sugar. It's going to slow down your digestion in a good way so that your body is really having time to absorb the nutrients in that meal. And it's going to help you not to overeat when Thanksgiving meal time comes, whether that be at lunch or dinner or whenever. Okay? So that's thing one. Thing two, plan to take a little walk after you've had that meal. As little as 5 or 10 minutes after you have your meal can blunt the spike of blood sugar. It will keep it from going as high, which will keep you from feeling as bad, which will minimize, or maybe not minimize, but at least decrease the amount of insulin that then has to be released so that you're not contributing to insulin resistance you might already have, and you are keeping your sugar from spiking so high. Better than 5 or 10 minutes would be 10 or 20, maybe even 30 if the weather's nice. I know in some places the weather's not looking like it's going to be great, so this may be hard to do, but if you have the opportunity, this is a great tool to keep from spiking your sugar so high. And another tip leading into the meal is to stay hydrated. All through the morning, stay hydrated. Make sure that you're not walking in hungry and dehydrated, because oftentimes our bodies will perceive thirst for hunger and it will lead into you overeating. I mentioned how bad I felt 2 Thanksgivings ago and how I felt better last year. And I want you to have that same experience. And these things that I just told you are things that I did to make sure that I didn't have as much of a spike, except for the walk, because something I'll mention later, I guess I can go ahead and mention it here. Our meal was a little too late in the day. And so by the time we had eaten and I had gotten things kind of cleaned up and tidied up, the daylight was gone, because it gets dark here now, like seems like 4:30. So this year we're gonna have a meal a little bit earlier to keep that from being a problem. But that's really a big thing. I was one of those people that would always save room, right? So I could eat as much as possible. And I didn't do that last year, and it made a big difference. I didn't overeat. The main goal is to do the best that you can to balance your sugar, because that high spike and that crash after are what's going to make you feel so crummy. Okay. Now, you are not sinning by eating pumpkin pie. You're not sinning by eating pecan pie or whatever your desserts may be. But we want to focus on finding ways to not overdo those things that we know are loaded with things that we don't need. Pumpkin's good, sugar's not, right? So we want to have a little bit of it without overdoing. And when you front load your day, you are increasing the likelihood of your ability to not overdo it. Remember, 1 Timothy 6:17, he gives us all things richly to enjoy. We know in the Bible that Jesus feasted. So feasting in and of itself is not a sin. And again, everything God created is good if received with thanksgiving. So food is not the enemy. Okay, we just want to make sure we keep it in its proper place. So again, to avoid that crash, you're going to eat a protein-rich breakfast, as I mentioned. And then here's another thing to keep in mind. And I did this last year, and I want you to do it this year. I want you to build your plate in this order, and then I want you to eat your food in this order. Okay? Thing one, I want you to focus on protein. I want you to put extra of the meats that are hopefully not deep fried in inflammatory oils. Okay. I want you to get extra turkey, extra ham, anything that you identify as, oh yeah, that's got more protein. If you've got deviled eggs or dressed eggs, depending on what you call them, things like that you know are going to have higher content of protein in them, get more of those and try to choose those first. And definitely when you sit down to eat those first. Okay. Then anything that's got vegetables that hopefully aren't over casseroled. And I love that verb, by the way. That's got a new verb. You can make words. If you can't find a word that works for you, just make one up, right? That's what I do. So focus on vegetables that are fairly healthy and fiber. These are things that are going to slow down your digestion and slow down and lower that blood sugar peak. Okay. Then with what space is left, add the sides you love. Maybe instead of getting 2 big scoops, just get 1 small scoop so that you get the flavor of it. You get to enjoy it without overdoing it. And then later, after you've had these things, choose 1, maybe 2 small portions of dessert to enjoy. Okay? It's not about restricting yourself. It's about rebalancing your plate and having the right rhythm for your body to be able to process the food you're giving it in a way that doesn't spike your sugar. Go heavy on protein and vegetables that aren't, loaded with sugars and things like that in the casseroles, and then lighter on the casseroles and the desserts. Okay. If you're the one preparing the meal, I would encourage you to do things as much as you can to lower your sugar content in the foods. For example, I make homemade cranberry sauce. I highly recommend you make homemade cranberry sauce. Don't just get it out of the can. And in that cranberry sauce, there is not apple juice, excuse me. There's orange juice, fresh squeezed orange juice, orange zest, and maple syrup is the sweetener. And it cooks for a long time so that it cooks down and gets thick, and it is so good. Just ask Alex, my sweet unofficially adopted son. Every year I have to send it to him because he'll lose the recipe. But that's the one thing he makes every year for whatever Thanksgiving he's going to, because he had it at my house one year, and it really is that good. Now I can't take credit for it. It came from Pioneer Woman for whatever it's worth. You can probably find it on her website. I don't know. Or if you need it, you can email me. I'll send it to you. But it's so, so good. And it's going to give you a big dose of lots of really good stuff without artificial sweeteners, without extra added sugar. Yes, there's maple syrup in it, but at least it's a healthful sweetener. Okay. Just one example. You can do this with all of your foods. Okay. If you are one of the people who's made the transition into using fresh meal grains, sneak those in where you can. In the foods that call for flour, don't go back and get the store-bought stuff. Get the good stuff. Then you're giving people extra nutrition as they're eating the things they love, and they'll never notice it. Okay. These are all things that you can do. And also that's going to add fiber. So it's going to slow down their digestion and help them to be healthy too. All right. Little pro tip. If you go to the dessert table and the pies are already pre-cut, there's actually no law that says you have to take a full slice. Did you know that? There's no law that says that. You can actually just cut a piece in half. Then that way you're getting a little bit of the flavor without getting too much. And you'll help yourself not to overdo it. Okay. So just kind of think creatively. Like, just because it looks a certain way doesn't mean you have to eat it a certain way. All right. Another tip, don't keep grazing all afternoon. And how easy is it to do that? Because usually the food sits out for a while. You'll go back through, you'll pick little things, and you'll end up getting just one more bite of this or one more bite of that, of something that maybe isn't the best choice. And that leads to that overfilled feeling that you'll have later. Is that a word too? I think I just made up another one. Ugh. You know what I mean though. Again, walk after you eat if you're able to, and stay hydrated. The headaches that sometimes come after Thanksgiving are almost always a result of dehydration, too much sugar, and bad salt, which is another thing that you can do for your family as you're preparing things. Make sure you're using real salt so that they're getting all of the minerals they need, and not just table salt, which has been stripped of all the good minerals and only has left the sodium. All right. Next, I want you to think about how you can, again, remove the guilt and really go into this meal in a relaxed and joyful state, because being relaxed and joyful improves your digestion and your metabolism. And there is science behind this. Okay. I want you to slow down your eating. Increase your chewing. Chewing is the first stage of digestion. That's when you really break up the food into the smaller bits so that your stomach can then break it down further to get the full complement of nutrition when it gets to your intestine. Okay. If you skip that part because you're so excited about all this good food and you just shovel it in, you are robbing yourself of nutrition. And you are increasing the likelihood that you're going to overeat, because there is a delay between when your body releases the hormone that tells your brain that you've had enough. So your belly is done, but your belly doesn't know that yet because the hormone's not there yet. It hasn't been released yet. There's a little lag time. When you slow down, you decrease the amount of food that you eat overall, which is the goal, is to not overdo, right? I want you to pray over your meal. Hopefully someone is leading a prayer for the entire group that's gathered together, but if not, pray over yours. Be mindful of the Lord who has provided this for you and thank Him for that. Take the time to do that. Deep breathing and just taking the time to just take it all in and breathe it all in. Enjoy the conversation. All of these things put your mind in a state that you are less stressed and more likely to digest well, because stress negatively impacts your digestion. In my functional medicine training this week, so I'm taking a women's functional medicine certification. If I haven't told you this, I think I have, but I'm not sure. And something that I learned this week, we're studying gut health right now. And I learned that laughter actually increases something called SIGA, which increases gut health and immunity. How cool is that? That laughter, just having fun and enjoying a good conversation and laughing, can be more impactful than some pharmaceutical treatments. God knew what he was doing when he made us. He didn't make us to be miserable. He made us to enjoy things. So I want you to enjoy it. I don't want you to walk in with stress. I don't want you to walk in with worry and guilt. I want you to enjoy it and laugh and have a great time. And that's going to help you be in a state of resting and digesting, which is the phase that you need to be in for this day. Peace and happiness in your heart actually helps to bring peace and happiness in your whole body. How you eat really does matter as much as what you eat. Oh, I won't say as much as, because you can still override it by putting complete garbage in. But how you eat is going to impact how well your body can use what you eat. So sit down when you eat. Don't rush. Take your time. Chew more. Enjoy your conversations. Take deep breaths before you're eating. Pray over your food. And these things are all going to contribute to being able to digest that food well. And now the last thing, if you do overeat, if you find yourself regretting some choices you made, you are not a moral failure. Now, I believe in you. I know that you can make great choices to nourish your body without losing the enjoyment. I believe you can do it, especially if you re-listen to this, maybe on your way to Thanksgiving dinner if you're going somewhere. Just remind yourself of these tools. But also recognize this is all new for many of you. And habits take time to form, and that's okay. So if you overdo it, and if you end up being later in your day and you're feeling regretful or guilty, don't spiral, okay? Instead, I want you to ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? What does this tell me about how God intends my body to be cared for and nourished? And then I want you to use that information moving forward. Okay? I know this is possible. I know it's possible to walk into this meal without these feelings. How do I know that? Because as I've told you before, I lost 15 pounds from October 1st to December 31st last year. And inside of that window of time last year was Thanksgiving and Christmas, and for my family, a family vacation. So it is possible, but I know it's not easy. So use this knowledge and this curiosity to your advantage. If you end up feeling crummy, take that as a sign. Excuse me. I got a throat thing. I just cracked my voice there. That was funny. Take it as a sign that you really do need to come up with a way to make real changes. You really do need some help to redirect and to get a new start. Like you, these last few weeks are very busy for me. I'm working hard, as I've told you, on building Verity Village. It's going to be a place for us all gather together, including all of my existing clients and everyone else who is under the sound of my voice right now. It's going to be a place for us to come together and really learn and grow together in a place that is safe and distraction free. But because of that busyness, I really only have room in my schedule right now for one or maybe two new one-on-one clients before the end of the year. So what's the difference in Verity Village and in coaching? I want you to understand the difference so you can know which one is for you. Again, Verity Village is a place for everyone. It will include my current coaching clients, but it's for everybody. It's for us to gather together, to have that essential community that we all need to learn and grow our healthy habits and lifestyles together with the right support. It's a place that will give you your people. You know, you've heard me say you need to find your people. This is where your people are going to be. So you're not going to be alone anymore, no matter where you live, no matter how remote or how rural or whatever the case may be. You will not be alone anymore. It's a place where I'm going to share a wealth of information on things that I just can't easily share in places like Facebook because of censorship and because I may post, you may even be in my Facebook group and I post something and the likelihood that you see it is somewhere between maybe 1 in 10 and 1 in 4. Like there's a large complement of my Facebook group who never sees anything that I post unless they purposefully go look for it. This is a place where you will see it. It won't be buried. It won't be censored. It will be where you are able to actually learn from it. And it's a safe place away from distractions and ads and temptations and all these things. All right. So that's Verity Village. One-on-one coaching is for you if you know deep down that you don't feel like you should. You don't feel like God made you to feel. You know something's up. Your doctor's been telling you everything's fine, but you know everything's not fine. You know it can't be true because you feel so bad. If you found yourself saying things like, well, I guess that's just aging. I guess I'm just getting older and that's just how I'm going to feel. Coaching is for you. You do not have to feel bad. Your body is telling you something is wrong and you're hearing it, but the world's telling you to ignore it. I'm telling you to listen to it and heed it because it is telling you that there's something that you need to work on. And if you don't, if you continue to ignore those bad feelings, they will eventually develop into some big diagnosis. It could be one of many, many things. It fleshes out different in everybody. But your body is trying to communicate with you. And if you ignore it, it's going to keep getting louder until you're forced to listen. So why not listen now? Why not heed it now? I have 2 different clients right now who have a combination of things in their labs and in their symptoms that show me very clearly that they came to me for coaching at the perfect time because they haven't gotten that big, hairy diagnosis yet. And yet their body was giving them a very clear message of, you've got to change. And we are putting those changes in and they are feeling better. And it is a beautiful thing because that diagnosis in a really cool way, like they're never even going to know what it was. They're never even going to know where it was going because they're getting healthy now. They're making changes now. And you can do that too. I want that for you. If you are feeling that nudge that something's not right, I need some help to figure this out, that's what I'm here for. I am someone who will work side by side with you to help you sort through it and feel better. I come from a position of more than 20 years of experience with working with women. And in addition to that, as I mentioned, I am now adding on top of that functional medicine training coming from Dr. Aviva Romm. If you're familiar with her, I'm in her women's functional medicine training course, which is a certification program for healthcare professionals. And it helps me to look at your situation from a position of putting the puzzle pieces together and figuring out what's really going on so that you can heal. So if that sounds like you, if that sounds like something you know you need, then coaching is for you. And now is the perfect time to get started. We are heading into a new year when most people set resolutions and then they forget them. They fall through, right? You set the resolutions on January 1st and then by January 31st, they're gone for most people. Let this be the year that you get the help you need to form the habits that aren't going to fall through, to make the lifestyle changes that are going to stick and that are going to work. And no, that does not mean go get a gym membership. Do not hear me saying that. That is not what I'm saying. It means it's time to invest in real change and real help that actually works with me as your guide. If that sounds like you, I want you to go apply for a call with me. And that call is where we figure out if you and I are a good fit to work together. It's simple. There's no pressure with it at all. And you go check that out, or you go fill out the short application to sign up for your call with me at https://www.morriswellnessservices.com/apply. Again, I've told you this in other episodes, but the reason I spell out all the HTTPS part is because I have found that some people, if you just put in the morriswellnessservices.com, it doesn't work for some reason. So you've got to put that extra part in there. So go do that. There'll be a link in the show notes and you can just click that if you want to. You don't have to type it all in. All right. So if you feel like that is what you need, I want you to go sign up now. But whether or not you think coaching is where you need to be, I know you need to be in Verity Village. So I want you to go sign up for the wait list there so that you can be one of the founding members who gets an exclusive discount when the doors open. You do that at, again, https://www.morriswellnessservices.com/village waiting. And again, the link will be in the show notes, so you don't have to type all that in. You just go click it. I want you there with me. The more I think about it, the more I know this is going to be the place for Christian women whose focus is not of this world. Women who want to truly honor God in all that they do, both in their spiritual lives and in their physical lives. See, we've been making a mistake for so long by not considering Him and how we care for our physical bodies. We've pretty much made our physical health an afterthought. We deal with it when we get sick, and then we get back to normal, so-called normal, without ever truly considering that God did not make us that way. He did not make us to forget Him in aspects of our lives. He wants us to bring Him into every aspect of our lives. You know, there's a plan very clearly in Scripture for salvation. And just like there's a plan for salvation, there's a plan that He made for our bodies to work, for us to have the health He designed us for us to have. And while man has attempted to hide that from us and tell us that we need the things that have been created by man's so-called wisdom that really are things that are making us sicker, those things are still evident. We can still learn those things. We just need to get together and work through it using resources and challenges and meetups and support. That's what Verity Village is going to provide. It's not ready just yet. It is just me behind the scenes building this piece by piece, and it's taking a little bit longer than I wanted it to. I'm hoping for it to open in December. That's my goal. But when it's ready, it's going to be beautiful. And you can join the wait list today, and again, be the first to know when it opens. And you'll go ahead and get one of the first resources that are available, which is about balancing your blood sugar God's way, which would be perfect for you to take with you, maybe stick in your back pocket to take with you to Thanksgiving. When you sign up for the waiting list, you're going to get that sent to your email. Okay. So morriswellnessservices.com/village waiting is where you sign up for that, to be the first to join, be a founding member, and to get an exclusive discount when the doors open. All right. I hope this has helped you so much. I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed Thanksgiving, and I will see you right back here next week. If you were blessed by today's episode, please take a minute to share it with another mama friend you know needs this info, or post a screenshot on your Instagram stories and tag me so I'll know you loved this episode. Then come hop into our Facebook group to find your people and have some like-minded support throughout your week. Also, I'd love it if you'd head to YouTube and subscribe to my channel. You can find links for all of these things in the show notes. I'm so thankful for you, and I look forward to hanging out again with you right here next week.